the matter of Chloe Cundiff, file 25061NA.
Okay, this is a review of the progress that's been made by the mother in this case, Ms. Ellie Guerin. May I have the names of our participants, please?
Harrison Howitt, lawyer, guardian ad litem.
Nastasia Thomas, counsel for the department.
Macy Moore, foster care worker with Catholic Charities.
Michael Brooks, I'm the attorney for Mr. Cundiff. He's here, but we've taken him, put him in a waiting room.
Yes, for all our purposes, the reviews for each parent are held separately, but we appreciate you being here and we'll get to your client as soon as we can.
Good morning.
Comments?
I'm sorry,
Oh,
Anna.
sorry, Ms. Berg, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Ariel Berger here on behalf of Mother Ellie Guerin.
And the Guerins?
Good afternoon. My name is Tanya Guerin. I'm Ellie's mother and legal guardian.
I'm Ellie Guerin, mother of Chloe.
Okay. We can go to Mr. Howard for his report.
Yes, I was able to see the child at parenting time with her father on January 5th, 2026. I'd say this reporting period has been a bit of a struggle for the child. Around towards the end of November, around Thanksgiving, she began to experience what has been diagnosed as infantile spasms. They were very concerning to her placement, and placement sought medical attention immediately. And since then, she's kind of been in and out of the hospital and seeing a bunch of doctors. Really, the goal was just to diagnose, but also to ensure that she's on the right medication. So, we're not doctors, but and I'm not 100% sure, the long-term effects that this may have on her, but placement, from what I've seen, has done a great job of just being with the child every step of the way and ensuring that she's getting the right medical attention. She's taking her to the hospital in the middle of the night. And with all this time and back and forth between doctor visits and hospital stays, I think it's important that the developmental side of the child doesn't get lost. And that we're following the recommendations and seeing if there's anything we can do, whether it's through early on or OT or PT, and just making sure we're staying on top of that. So I think that's something that our side of things could definitely control.
I'm gonna need you to speak up just a little.
Yeah.
I know you're by the microphone, but I'm still having trouble.
So I think that's something that our side can control as far as the PT and OT and any other recommendations early on may have. Also, this reporting period, there was a MIC investigation that was closed with no concerns for wrongdoing. It ended up being more of a medical, I guess maybe an anomaly, but just another wrinkle to this potentially troublesome reporting period. When I saw the child behaviorally, she was a little bit fussy, but did appear to be gaining appropriate weight, which is impressive for being inside of the hospital and in and out of that different environment. And she did have some very big cheeks, so definitely gaining weight and eating okay. So despite the medical issues, this was still good to see on her growth. But I do know there were some noted concerns about the developmental side of things. So. I think something that was asked to be explored this reporting period was what would it look like to do at least a few visits in Pennsylvania with the guardian and her mother. We kind of put this on the back burner. I'd say I put this on the back burner as we really focused on getting Chloe the requisite medical attention, and it just wasn't sure what that transition would look like back and forth, and didn't seem safe to try that for now until we got more clarity on what her medical process would be for the next few weeks and months. So I think that there's a lot going on with the child right now, and I do think she's in the best place to have those needs taken care of and evaluated. She's got a great placement and medical staff in place that I wouldn't want to disrupt right now. And then, in the future, I think when the time is appropriate, we can be exploring what it may look like for her to go to Pennsylvania and see them. But for right now, I think the medical side of things is more pressing. But so I do think it's in her best interest to remain where she's at. She obviously did not disclose her wishes due to her age. Thank you.
Okay. Any other opening comments from our attorneys before we get started?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
No, thank you.
Testimony today, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. If Ms. Moore can be sworn in, please.
Witness stand.
You solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do.
Okay, I just want to acknowledge for the record, I see we have Mr. Peter Winter here with us. And typically you come in from Mr. Amadeo's office, sort of also on behalf of the department. Is that, I've made that assumption here this afternoon. Is that accurate, Mr. Winter?
Your Honor, I'm not sure who I'm representing here. Mr. Amadeo asked me to step in. He said, I don't think you realized there was going to be testimony being taken. He's at a funeral in Flint. So if I recall correctly, I think he represented Ellie at one time. I'm not sure.
He still does, Your Honor, but that's only in the guardianship case.
Got it. Okay. All right. So hang tight, Mr. Winter, because we're in the review aspect of things.
I'm not going anywhere.
Okay, great. Okay, testimony from your witness today, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Moore, you've provided a court report for Ms. Guerin today, and there are a few documents in there, but in addition to those that are in the packet, have you circulated any other documents as it relates to Ms. Guerin since you filed this?
No, I have not. No,
Okay.
I have not. Sorry.
It's okay. Are there any updates or modifications that you're aware of that need to be made to that packet?
I have just a couple updates to give today.
Okay, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Chloe did go for her neurology MRI follow-up this morning. I obviously have not had time to call the neurologist and get an update, but that was kind of to determine the next steps of treatment and the possible underlying conditions of why she is having these infantile spasms. And then she is in early on. I believe they put a pause on it due to the medical concerns, just having so many places to kind of run around to. And then she has been referred to PT and OT, and same kind of thing. We just have yet to schedule that with all of the other appointments that she was having. And then for Miss Guerin, she is seeing a psychiatrist, Amber Gazelle, through Maryball in Pennsylvania for medications and reviews, in addition to her individualized counseling. And then we do FaceTime visits as the child allows us to. If she's too fussy that day, we'll cut them short because our staff's the one kind of holding her for the FaceTime. And then in-person visits, same thing. Miss Guerin and her family came up on 12/26 and 12/27 for visits, and they're going well. No concerns being reported or anything like that. So those are my main updates.
And as relates to mom's case service plan, how would you describe her compliance with and benefit from that case service plan during this review period?
I would say it's good. She's participating in a lot of things, counseling, doing her medication reviews. She just got a job. She is also participating in the Triple P parenting classes. And I've also mailed some of the Bablock parenting packets to her as well. And she's read those and done the work in the back of the packets as well. So I would say she's doing good compliance and doing the things that she needs to.
And this is maybe a little out of turn here, but are you aware of whether or not the guardianship for Miss Guerin was recognized and ordered in Pennsylvania as well?
Yes, I believe that it was. I just got the order sent to me, so I haven't looked at it physically yet, but I believe that it exists.
Okay. And during this review period, were efforts made to determine whether or not Miss Tanya Guerin and her husband would be an appropriate foster home or placement for the child?
Yes, they were. We got a interstate compact report back, which does do a denial based on the fact that Miss Guerin's living in the home with them. But in the report, it outlines that the home itself is appropriate.
I also noticed that in that summary email, the reporter indicated maybe some concern about whether Miss Tanya Guerin had been forthcoming with some information, and then the relationship between Miss Ellie Guerin and her mother. Have you been able to discuss those concerns with the family?
I discussed them briefly prior to the report coming back. Tanya Guerin had told me that she signed all the necessary releases for them to obtain her prior mental health history, but that was kind of the extent that I got. I have not talked to her since.
With there being an established guardianship in Pennsylvania now, what would be the risk of harm to the child if the court were to return the child to Miss Ellie Guerin today?
That's a hard question. I think I need some clarification. So would it be returned home? Like, would the guardianship go over Chloe in a way? So Tanya's technically with Chloe. Does that make sense? Or did I make it more confusing?
Well, the question just is, with Ellie being in a guardianship and being in the home with Miss Tanya Guerin, what is the risk of harm to the child if the child were to be returned to Miss Ellie Guerin?
I can't really think of any risk of harm off the top of my head if that were to occur.
Okay. Do you know if Mr. Cundiff has filed for any custody of the child?
Not that I am aware of, no.
The report indicates that mom is supposed to start the parenting class. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but maybe it's Triple P or something like that this month. I'm sorry, did you indicate whether or not that has started?
I believe that it has. I haven't gotten any like certificates, but it was reported to me that she began the classes, yes.
Okay. And is Miss Ellie Guerin participating with her guardians, Miss Tanya Guerin and Mr. Patrick Guerin, in any of the medical appointments for the child?
Yes and no. They have the neurology like number, so they're able to call the neurologist to get any information or ask questions, stay in touch that way. But joining the visits have not been a thing, just because they're already pretty hectic, I would say.
Okay. Are there any other services that Miss Guerin needs to engage with in order to be, continue to be compliant with her case service plan, or is she doing everything she can?
I would say she's doing everything, just continued participation and compliance.
Is there anything else that you would like the court to know about from your knowledge of the case today?
I do not believe so.
Okay. Thank you. Let me just make sure I have everything I've reviewed. Okay. Your Honor, I have no further questions of Ms. Moore and would ask the court to admit in the court report packet that was submitted for today's hearing.
Objections?
No, Your Honor.
I have no initial objection, Your Honor, but I just received the court report maybe 2 minutes before the hearing started, so I would just reserve any objections for the next hearing if that's possible.
Objections to that request?
No, Your Honor.
Not at all, Your Honor.
Thank you.
All right. There is received and the objections are reserved. Okay, questions for this witness then, Ms. Berger?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Moore, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
If there is no risk of harm to returning the child to mother, why are we not returning the child to mother?
A big part of it was her medical concerns, getting that kind of under control and having the doctors kind of give us a next step of where to go after that was my main concern.
Is mother on board with the child not being in her care at this time?
I'm not sure. Could you re-ask the question?
Is mom in agreement with her child staying in foster care?
I am not sure.
Okay, so it's strange that there would be no risk of harm and that the agency would still want to keep this child in a foster placement. Can you explain a little bit more why?
Just based on the medical concerns, we haven't had any overnights with them yet, due to the medical concerns.
Okay, I'm just gonna interrupt here because I think that Ms. Moore's initial remarks on this really do complicate things. So if the placement is not approved for ICPC, would the department even be able to reunify this child with the mom?
Under my understanding, we have something that states that the home is appropriate, so that's what we would be looking for, is the appropriateness of the home.
But the parental authority of Ellie Guerin, so you would be returning this child to the care, custody, and legal authority of Ellie Guerin,
Right,
not the placement with the parents. So
Right.
technically you'd be restoring the parental authority to Ellie Guerin. Is Ellie Guerin in any capacity able to parent this child safely?
that's my also concern, is that I don't know if Ellie will ever be capable to solely parent the child without the assistance of her guardian.
Right, and if the placement of her parents has been denied through the department, do you even have the legal authority to place this child in that house?
I'm not sure.
Okay. That's, I think, the question that Macy and I are both interested in answering.
And I believe the main reason for the denial is due to Ellie living in their home.
Right, so if you were to put in a request to your superiors to put this child into that home, would it be accepted or refused?
Right, I'm not sure.
All right, sorry, thank you for allowing the interruption, but I just wanted to make sure that those issues were included before you decided you were finished with your question.
That's what I'm trying to discern, Your Honor. If this child can be reunified with mom and the home was appropriate, and the only reason the home was denied is because mom currently has a case open, it seems that both issues would be fixed if the child is reunified with mom. And if there's no risk of harm, I'm not sure why we're still keeping this child in care. I understand the medical concerns, but that's not a reason to keep a child in foster care.
Well, I can tell you that Ellie Guerin is still a risk of harm to the child herself. And if her authority is what we'd be relying on for her to take care, and responsibility would be who we were relying on to take care of her, that's my concern.
Sure, but the caseworker said that she doesn't have any, that mom is not a risk of harm.
Is that assuming that the grandparents would be doing all the caretaking?
Yes, that would be my assumption, yes.
Okay, so if that assumption were gone and we were just simply relying on Ellie Guerin to take care of this child,
I would say that there is a risk of harm due to the parental cognitive level of Miss Guerin at that point.
so I think that's the question.
It
I
is.
mean,
Your-
if she gets into a disagreement with her, if the mother disagrees with the grandmother on how to take care of this child, the mother would have the legal authority to make the decision.
True, but not the legal authority to move, right? Or to leave.
Great question. Or to give the child to whoever she wants to.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Your Honor, can I butt in for a second? We're talking about a guardianship. Is there a guardianship for Ellie where her parents or her mother is guardian or guardians for her?
Yes, that's accurate. And I do have that paperwork today. I received it today. I think it came through in the guardianship case. Did you get a copy?
I don't know if Mr. Amadeo did or did not. I don't have it. I was just curious because it seems to me from a legal standpoint, if she's under guardianship, I don't think she's got legal authority to make any decisions regarding the child without the guardian's approval.
Well, to make things more complicated, the guardianship is out of Pennsylvania. So the answer to that question is not really one that we can even answer without looking at how the guardianship in Pennsylvania operates.
Your Honor, I can send him an email if he could provide that to us, so he has that.
All right, you know what, let's take a quick recess. I'm going to talk with the attorneys about some of these legal issues to see if we can make some headway of this before we take up more time on the record with it. So thank you for your testimony this morning. You can step down for a moment and we'll step into a sidebar. We talked about all of the developments that came from Pennsylvania, recognizing that what we've received and has been circulated thoroughly now to everybody on this case and the guardianship case is simply that it would appear that the guardianship from Michigan the guardianship orders from Michigan have been recognized in Pennsylvania, but do not operate as a separate guardianship. So that raises a question as to if the Michigan court closes the jurisdiction of the guardianship case, if that will effectively close the guardianship authority in the Pennsylvania case, which is a distinct possibility according to some preliminary research done. But we're not really, we're not in Pennsylvania. So that's an issue that Ellie's going to have to take up with her parents and deal with that. And we'll deal with the guardianship case in a minute. But it causes a problem in the abuse and neglect case because the question remains as to whether or not Ellie Guerin wants to work on reunification with her daughter and what that looks like. The interstate compact investigation that was done into the home of Ellie's parents revealed that Pennsylvania has a slightly different take on things than we do here in Michigan. In Michigan, if a parent, even a respondent parent who may have some issues, is residing with appropriate parents, then placement can be explored in that household with the grandparents. In Pennsylvania, they appear to have a different perspective there. It appears in Pennsylvania, if a respondent parent with challenges is residing with other people like their parents who may not have issues, it doesn't matter. And ICPC has still denied them. So there's the preliminary issue outlined in the one page that we received, which is the shortest investigation result I've ever seen. But there's also some other issues that were raised in this document about domestic violence and untreated mental health issues and the dynamics of the relationship between Tanya Guerin and her daughter. That's important to note because that indicates that it's not simply that Ellie with her own challenges is the issue, but there could be additional issues in the household beyond what the Michigan court has identified with regards to Ellie's limitations. That also, this letter has some implications in the guardianship case as well, but we'll take that up when it's time to talk about the guardianship file. The long and the short of it is reunification with Ellie and her daughter appears to have gotten more complicated rather than less in the last report period based on the ICPC investigation results, as well as the development of the Pennsylvania court as it relates to guardianship and how that appears to now hinge on the guardianship authority in Michigan, anyway. So the question as to reunification efforts with Ellie is one that we're going to be looking at trying to answer if it's feasible, because at the end of the day, that's what we're here for, right? If we can reunify this parent with this child. Now, the challenges presented by Mr. Cundiff, the father of the child, impact this review hearing simply because it's also permanency planning. But the particulars of his situation we'll reserve to explore with him during his review period. Other comments on the sidebar at this point, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Winter, you were there for it, and I know you're in the guardianship case, but obviously the guardianship impacts the abuse and neglect, and the abuse and neglect impacts the guardianship. Would you like to make a record on anything that we talked about in the sidebar?
No, Your Honor. I think you did an excellent job. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brooks, anything you'd like to make a record on as it relates to the sidebar?
Only if we all agree that there's really not a whole lot of moving forward we can do. Mr. Cundiff, pending him getting through a morass of legal issues in the criminal courts of Michigan.
Yes, we'll highlight the details of that when it's his review. But yes,
No.
okay, very good. Mr. Howitt, comments on our side?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so let's look at Ms. Ellie Guerin's case with any other questions for any other witnesses today. Actually, we had Ms. Mason Moore was on the stand. Ms. Berger, did you have any more questions for her?
I do not, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Howard, did you have any questions for her?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Thomas, any redirect for her?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Any other witnesses today?
I have none, thank you.
Any witness testimony today? Ms. Berger?
Ellie, would you like to testify today?
No, I'm okay.
Okay. No witnesses then, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Howard?
No witnesses.
Very well. Comments in closing as it relates to the permanency planning hearing as well as the review of Ellie Guerin's case services.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we'd like to recognize that Ms. Guerin is pleased to engage in services that support her case service plan. I think that there are a lot of legal issues that have to be resolved. I would anticipate a family team meeting or maybe even a professionals conference where we kind of brainstorm and try to figure out the best path forward and what that looks like for this kiddo, given her very young age, the time, the amount of time that she's been in care and how long it would take to achieve permanency, given the options before us. So at this time, Your Honor, we would just ask for status quo with mom continuing to engage in her case service plan, with Ms. Moore following up with those referrals, recommendations, and keeping track of things that mom's doing. And then obviously offering that parenting time as would be appropriate for the child's best interest and safety. With that, we just ask for a 90-day review. I think within that this review period, we should have more information about the concerns from the ICPC investigation. I would like to see a thorough report rather than just the summary. I also think that there needs to be some work done in understanding the difference between transferring the guardianship to Pennsylvania versus registering in the order and letters of authority in Pennsylvania. But again, you know, that's out of our jurisdiction. I just believe that we've all come to the accurate conclusion that what has occurred right now is not sufficient for our court to really let go of jurisdiction of this family at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any objection to the court taking into evidence the documents from Pennsylvania indicating the developments on the guardianship? Their file is number 2025-1525. I believe those pleadings have been circulated, but I would be inclined to receive them into evidence as they are certainly relevant. Any objections?
No.
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
No, no objection.
All right, Ms. Berger, any closing comments today?
Thank you, Your Honor. I would just like to, I guess, indicate or agree with the department in part that my client is making progress, that she is doing as much as she possibly can, given the distance between her living situation and here in Michigan. She's engaged in parenting, she's attending counseling, she's attending psychological appointments. So I would just ask for another review period to either give her more time to work on these things towards reunification, or for us to come up with a comprehensive plan for placement of her child and her guardianship. Thank you.
Okay. Comments, Mr. House?
Yes, I think it's important that the child is in a better spot medically today than she was a couple of months ago. So I think we're all very happy about that. I think from the reports and speaking or attending a team decision-making meeting, Ellie is doing well in Pennsylvania. She's willing to do what is available to her. She doesn't, turn things down. But as far as, long-term planning and getting some clarity there, I think the conversation with all parties about their intentions as far as involvement with the child would definitely be where I would like to start, and then kind of working through those intention is to match it up with what's best for the child and what options are available to the families would be a good order of operation. So that is something that I think our team will be looking to do over these next 90 days. Thank you.
Thank you. The court finds all interested parties were given notice for purposes of today's review and permissive planning hearing. This has been bifurcated. Each parent is entitled to an independent review of case services anyway. But the question of permanency is one that relates solely to the child. As I shared during our sidebar, I think that this report period has produced a lot of information that we were all hoping would give us some clarity moving forward as it relates to the Guerin family. And I think what we've gotten is more questions than answers, and more information that raises more questions as to what should be done to plan for where this child will be moving forward. As I indicated, the ICPC, the Interstate Compact investigation into the request for placement made by Tanya and Patrick Guerin has been denied. So that effectively, as of today, closes off the court's ability to place this child with her grandparents, which is also where her mother is living. But the goal in the case currently, as it relates to the child and the mother, is reunification. So the paramount question is whether or not Ellie Guerin has made sufficient progress in her case services to document that the risk of harm has been remedied and it's safe to send the child home. All of the issues that were raised at removal as it relates to Ellie's limitations are still in place. If anything, we have more documentation about that as a result of work that was done in the guardianship case. Ellie's parents have advocated fiercely for guardianship of her. They secured guardianship of her in file 25-53277DD based on the assessment completed by Michelle Liska, which is also part of the documents that were received into evidence today from the Court of Common Pleas of Northampton County, Pennsylvania, the Orphans Court Division, as they call it there, in file 25-1525. But we were aware of a lot of Ellie's limitations before that, and those contributed to the removal, in addition to many of the other issues associated with her relationship with Mr. Cundiff. So those limitations and challenges, and now compounded by the distance and the child's health issues that have prevented additional bonding opportunities, increase the court's perspective on the goal of permanency. Secondarily, the reservations that were identified in the ICPC letter dated December 26, 2025 from the County of Northampton Children, Youth, and Families Division raised some issues on top of the challenges that Ellie seems to have come to the table with as far as that were identified with Michelle Liska. And that does include, and I'm just going to quote right from the letter, the state of Michigan should further assess the relationship between Tanya Guerin and her daughter, Ellie Guerin, as there is documentation provided to this agency that indicated prior domestic violence and mental health concerns for both individuals. In addition, Tanya Guerin may not have been fully transparent in her mental health diagnoses and or treatment due to her resistance in providing documentation to this agency, as well as medical records that appear to have information omitted. So now we have the mom residing in Pennsylvania with her mom and these additional issues that have been raised. The question that I would like to have, and I'm afraid to ask more questions in this case, to be perfectly honest with you, but I think the next logical question for me to answer in the next report period, Ms. Moore, is whether or not Ellie Guerin can effectively move towards reunification at this point, given her natural born limitations, if you will. The limitations that were identified outside of the reservations that are now raised as it relates to the household that she lives in. Ellie was ordered out of the Cundiff household into the household of her parents without any background knowledge of the risks that were identified by the Pennsylvania investigation. that will be taken up in the guardianship. But regardless of where Ellie is at, can she effectively reach a level of parenting skill that would allow her to assume full parenting responsibility for this child is a question that I need answered. So if that means going back to Ms. Liska with that question, or finding another professional, or simply a deeper dive into the analysis that of the facts and circumstances that we have here, is the task of the department moving forward. Because if she can never achieve reunification because she just simply can't get to that level of parenting skill, then the goal is clearly adoption as it relates to her efforts and the child. So that being said, what I'm going to do today, and I'll go further into analysis with Mr. Cundiff, of course, is create a dual goal. Understanding the developments of this report period, taking into account the fact that this child does appear to have her own developing special needs and can't travel, and some other complications that are further detailed in the court report, but also the fact that the child's been removed since June 12, 2025. We're clearly past 6 months. This is a very young child with significant needs who's developing a significant bond with her placement. I think it's appropriate to recognize at this juncture, this is our second review period, that reunification now has the competing goal of adoption on the same footing. So I'm going to set a dual goal for this child moving forward, contingent on what further developments may persuade the court, given that Mr. Cundiff's review still, we have to get to that. In the meantime, as it relates to Ellie Guerin, the court does find that her child is in the safest and least restrictive placement. She's not able to be returned to Ellie Guerin at this time. Currently resides in Pennsylvania, with all of the limitations that have been established on the record up to this point, as well as the additional concerns that the court articulated on record today. Certainly, there have definitely been efforts towards reunification by Ms. Moore. Deep dive into both how Pennsylvania and Michigan intersect. Thank you to all of our attorneys and advocates and service providers who are putting so much time and energy into this case and this family in order to figure out what's best for this child. So that will conclude for Ms. Ellie Guerin, her review portion today. And I would offer to everyone to return to talk about the case again. Let's see. In April, we'll set our next review for both parents, 9 and 10, on April 6th, Monday, April 6th at 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock respectively, starting with Ellie Guerin's.
Can I ask a question here?
Sure.
Why are these hearings bifurcated?
Because of the, the indications of domestic violence, which have now been supported also by the criminal charges. Ellie Guerin's visible reaction to the crossing of her path with Christopher Cundiff at the last hearing further supports that. It's in consideration for Ellie and her mental health, and so that she would be able to comfortably participate if she wanted to, considering how disturbing it has been for her to have your client in the same hearing.
Thank you.
But let's go into your client's hearing. Okay, all right, so the Guerins are welcome to log off or turn your camera off if you wish to review the second half of our proceedings today. As I said, it is in consideration for Ellie that we've bifurcated these, and in consideration of the domestic violence between the two, the current criminal charges. So if you want to log off. I would recommend that you at least turn your camera off. We're going to head into the review portion as it relates to Christopher Cundiff.
I'm Christopher Cundiff, father of the child.
Okay. Mr. Howitt, any comments from your report for the benefit of Mr. Cundiff?
Yes, I would say I was able to observe a parenting time with Mr. Cundiff and the child. The child was pretty fussy during the visit. She started crying, and Mr. Cundiff took all appropriate steps to soothe her. And it did take some time, but he was able to stay calm the whole time and, take care of it. And she stopped crying and eventually thinking she just started eating. But so that was good to see. And I've observed appropriate relationship and bond with Mr. Cundiff and the child since my first visit with them. And I've seen them every few months together. So what I would say also about the medical concerns that the child is facing right now, Mr. Cundiff did not seem to have a ton of information on it. I don't know how involved he's been or what information he's been provided, but I think he said that she had been sick, which in a way is true, but he did not share a ton of information or have a ton of interest in what was going on with that. And so I guess I would like a clarification from him today on what his understanding of the condition is and what information has been available to him. But and then I do believe that the child is in a placement that fits her best interests. She's been well taken care of through this medical treatment concerns over the last couple months, and obviously she did not share her wishes due to her age. Thank you.
Okay, any other opening comments?
No, Your Honor.
No.
Testimony today, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd ask Ms. Moore to provide her report at this time.
Very good. Ms. Moore, come on up wherever this stand.
Oh, do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So yes.
Yes, I do.
All right.
All right, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you. Ms. Moore, you provided a court report today for Mr. Cundiff and his hearing. In addition to these documents, have you circulated or provided the parties with any additional exhibits for today's hearing?
I have not, but I do have copies of the psychological report that I am prepared to provide copies of.
Okay. At this time, have you provided that to Mr. Brooks or Mr. Howitt?
I gave Mr. Howitt a copy, but not to Mr. Brooks.
Okay. Are you prepared to summarize the contents of the psychological evaluation for the benefit of Mr. Brooks?
I could briefly summarize it, yes.
Okay. Let's hold off on that. At this time, though, can you just highlight Dad's compliance with and benefit from his case service plan during this review period?
Yes. Currently, Mr. Cundiff is incarcerated. He has been incarcerated since January 6th. Prior to being incarcerated, he reported that he was going to engage in domestic violence classes or the program with John Bailey. He had failed to do so prior to getting incarcerated, so he has yet to do so as well. He does do well in his parenting times. He attends the parenting times, brings diapers, wipes, things of that nature. He was able to start the foster care supportive visitation program prior to being incarcerated. However, since his incarceration now, he has missed one visit. If he misses the next 2 foster care supportive visitation visits, he will be booted from the program. But he is able to be re-referred. So if he does end up getting kicked out of the program, I am able to re-refer him after his incarceration.
What is your understanding as to why Mr. Cundiff is incarcerated?
A few domestic violence charges, a tattooing without licensure charge, and something about tampering with like electronics.
Were any of these new incidents, or were they all outstanding and he was just picked up on an outstanding warrant?
All of them were new, I believe, new charges.
Okay. And then as it relates to your report, though, are there any updates other than the ones you've kind of provided right now that need to be made?
Just the only other thing that I would outline is that he has been provided with the neurology doctor's name and contact information. So I am not sure if he has followed up on that in any way, but that has been provided to him. So he could ask the questions.
Okay. And then as relates to the child's medical needs and of doctor's appointments, are you informing Mr. Cundiff of those appointments in advance so he has awareness of what's happening?
Yes, as soon as I kind of hear about the appointment or if she goes to the hospital, so to say, I inform all parents and then the LJAL. So I start with dad, call mom, and then I call Mr. Howitt.
What would be the risk of harm other than dad's current incarceration? What would be the risk of harm to the child if the court were to consider returning the child to Mr. Cundiff today?
If the child were to be returned to Mr. Cundiff today, it would be at substantial risk of homelessness, money mismanagement, potential alcohol use, potential criminality, neglect, potential not following up on her medical care, all the ones off the top of my head.
As it relates to homelessness, it's my understanding, I believe from the court report, that generally Mr. Cundiff lives with his family. Do you have any updates as to that arrangement or as to why that would not be appropriate for the child to live there?
Yes, in his criminal side of things, there is a no contact order with Mary Cundiff, who is his mother, who resides at his address that would be within the court report. So he's not allowed to return to that address due to his mother residing there.
During this review period, though, it looks like Mr. Cundiff was able to secure employment, at least part-time.
He reported that he was employed at Little Caesars. I never received any employment verification. And then when I asked him for the verification, he had reported that he quit his job because he was potentially going to be incarcerated.
Okay. And part of this report also indicates that the DNA testing was completed on Mr. Cundiff and the child, and he is in fact the biological father. Were those results shared with him prior, when you received them?
Yes, they were.
Okay. Was there anything from the psychological evaluation that would help inform the case service plan moving forward?
I don't believe so. In short, it says that he needs to show long-term consistency, and it be very long-term.
Okay.
Before reunification were to occur.
Do you believe that reunification is still appropriate for Mr. Cundiff? That goal is still appropriate for the child as relates to Mr. Cundiff at this time?
Based on his recent criminality and recent charges, I would say no. I would say no.
Is there anything else you'd like the court to know from your knowledge of the case?
Nope, I believe we hit it all.
Okay. Your Honor, as relates to the psychological evaluation, I just received that right before court. I would ask the court to accept it at this time, provided that Mr. Brooks is given a copy of that. I would just ask the court to hold that open for any objections at the next hearing for myself, Mr. Howitt, and Mr. Brooks.
Subject to the preconditions that Ms. Thomas has put on it, I have no objection.
No objection.
Very well, I'll accept the reports. I'll need an extra copy. How many do you have there?
I have 3, 2 for you and 1 for Brooks.
Okay.
Carson already has one.
Deputy Answer tonight, or Deputy Cleaner, sorry, would you mind passing those around? Thank you. So I've received mine, Mr. Brooks has his, and I will leave it open for cross-examination and objections at the next review as requested. Questions for this witness, Mr. Brooks?
When he was not in jail up to about a week ago, I guess, was he cooperative trying to work on the case service plan?
He was. I would say yes. I've reminded him multiple times, however, that the domestic violence was kind of my #1 thing that I wanted him to get going on, and he failed to do so.
Well, did he fail to do it, or as he said, he was going to jail, so he didn't see any point in starting?
Failed to do so.
Is that something that he was gonna have to pay for?
Yes.
Which would, I assume, imply he'd need an income, right?
Yes.
Now, with respect to his child's physical condition, illnesses and so forth, that has been by and large conducted, taking care of those issues outside of his control. Is that right?
Yes.
And is it also true that the party or parties who have controlled that situation are not very well disposed towards Mr. Cundiff?
I would disagree.
You would?
Yes. The placement's babysitter is Mr. Cundiff's biological aunt. So I would disagree.
Okay. We are all aware, I believe, of that my client's in jail at the moment, right?
Yes.
And, well, I have no further questions.
That's right.
Yes, when you would call Mr. Cundiff to inform him about the child's medical updates or appointments, how would those conversations go?
It would I would call, and typically, like over the Thanksgiving break, I was on my phone nonstop during that break, and I made multiple calls to Mr. Cundiff's mother, whose phone he uses. So I would call that phone and request to speak to Chris. And if they did not answer and I could not speak to Chris, I would just give the verbal update in a voicemail, and I would never receive a call back if I left a voicemail. But when I spoke to him directly, I would just kind of lay out, hey, this is what we're looking at. This is what the doctor told me. I'll keep you posted. She's in the hospital right now. I'll let you know. Do you have any questions for me? Typically, the response would be, no, I don't have any questions. And I would say, okay, if you think of anything, let me know. And then I additionally provided him with the neurologist's office's direct line, so he could call and get updates directly if he wanted to.
Before the court report was distributed, was there any medical records that he was provided with?
I don't believe so, because the neurology after visit summary in the court report is the first one I have received back. I am waiting for assistance from DHS in obtaining the medical documents, just because they give me a really hard time. So I had requested our health liaison assist with obtaining the documents.
Do either of the parents have access to the medical portal?
I believe potentially the Garens do, but I have no control over the portal, unfortunately.
Does placement?
Placement's not allowed to access it.
Nothing further.
Is there a reason they're not allowed to access it?
I don't understand. I think it's like hospital policy type deal. I don't understand the portal.
We have a case with another judge where placement has to be ordered to have access to the medical portal. So I think we could request that, see if that works.
That's nasty. All right, any redirect?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Brooks, any follow-up questions?
No,
Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Any other testimony today, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
Testimony today, Mr. Brooks?
I'd like to call briefly Mr. Condit.
All right, Deputy Cleaner, if you could swear in Mr. Christopher Cundiff, please.
Could you raise your right hand, sir? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Cundiff, you are obviously incarcerated at the moment, correct?
Yes.
Could you tell the court what charges you're facing?
Okay, they told me I was picked up on 10 warrants. The first one would have been an assault with intent to do great bodily harm. Telecommunications is what they label or abbreviated it as. I'm not sure exactly what it was.
Interference with a telephone communication device, sound familiar?
Something like that. And then 7 domestic violences and 1 operating a tattoo without a license.
As we sit here this afternoon, you have not, other than being arraigned, no formal legal proceedings have begun, have they?
No, sir.
And you probably don't have any idea at this point when they will begin, do you?
I'm not 100% sure. I do believe I have a probable cause conference on the 21st with Judge Shadler.
All right.
I'm not exactly sure what that would be, though.
And that would probably cover your felony charge.
Okay.
You don't, right?
Yes.
Okay. And as for the remaining misdemeanor charges, you have received no word.
I don't believe so. I had 2 dates scheduled, then I got a paperback with only 1 on it at the end of the day.
So for the near-term future, next 2-3 weeks, month, you're probably going to stay right where you're at, right?
I wasn't expecting that, but you would know better than me. I was honestly thinking it would be a PR the next court date, based off of what my attorney said.
You're hoping you get a personal recognizance sponsor?
Yes, that's what I was under the impression is a possibility, GPS tether PR, because of what my attorney relayed to me last time I spoke to her.
She would know better than I. All right. You agree right now the best interests of that child are to remain where she is?
No.
Where do you think she should be?
I think she should be at my home with her grandparents, my family.
Is this the lady who's got apparently a PPO against you?
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like the court to know?
I would like to clear up a few things about the job in the John Bailey. Me and Macy and John were in a 3-way email. She's well aware that I was set to start domestic violence counseling last Wednesday when I received the funds to PayPal. That was the last message I said was I will receive the funds Wednesday and I'll talk to you then, John. She said they all said okay, great, and then basically she just made it sound like I never attempted to do anything when we all had plans to start it last Wednesday, but then I was arrested a short few days later. And on the job thing, she said she couldn't verify it. I never did turn in pay stubs. I do still have them. And also I did show up to almost every visit in my whole uniform, ready to go straight from the visit to my workplace.
Anything else you'd like the court to know?
And I don't think the homelessness would be an issue because that's probably going to be where I stay for several more years. And
where?
At my home, my parents' home. That's been my plan.
All right.
Plan is to stay there for years. So I don't know, homelessness wouldn't really be an issue to her, even if I did get in legal trouble, because she would be able to stay there in that sense.
Have your extended family outlined some of the medical issues that your child has?
Extended, what do you mean by that?
Well, if that's your mother, the family of the mother, have they told you anything?
No.
Is there anything else that you want me to cover with you?
I would just say the only reason I wouldn't question it too much, or when she'd leave updates in the voicemail, she would specifically say if I had any questions to call her back. So that would be the reason I didn't, because I don't have any questions for the social workers in that sense. Anything I want to learn about, I'm going to take a Google and learn on my own.
But you did hear the messages that she left.
Yes, I heard every message, and I did acknowledge that I should only call back if I had any questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not have any questions, so therefore I did not call back intentionally.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Questions, Ms. Thomas?
I have none. Thank you.
Mr. Howe?
Yes. Mr. Cundiff, do you think you were provided with appropriate opportunities to stay involved in your child's medical appointments over the last couple months?
As in attending them, no. Macy did mention that once, but then for some reason she just never brought it up again when we were at the Catholic Charities building. She said maybe we can start going to these visits, but then she mentioned how they were in Toledo. But since I'd had my GPS removed, and then no, other than that, I haven't heard anything about like medical appointments or visits.
What do you know about her medical condition?
I believe it was an epileptic or epilepsy.
Have you spoken with any nurses or doctors that have treated her?
No, not specifically that have treated her. I just do all my own research on the internet after I've been told what she had been diagnosed with.
Would the PPO your mother has against you get in the way of you living there?
Technically right now it would, but she doesn't put it against me. It was brought on by somebody else's allegations. So I do believe that will be dropped. She had nothing to do with those claims.
Nothing further.
Any redirect?
No, thank you.
Any other witnesses?
No.
Mr. Howitt?
No, Your Honor.
Any comments? Oh, Ms. Shirley, I think you are the one who has the child in your care at this time, is that right? We can't hear you. You're not muted, so it must be something with the audio on your end. Or the microphone, rather.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, definitely. Hang on.
Okay, I'm sorry, I had my speakers plugged in. So I just want to
hang on one second, hang on, because Deputy Fleener is going to swear you in, and then you're going to have to give us your full name, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, go ahead and raise your right hand, ma'am. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, just keep in mind we are on YouTube, so if you can avoid using the child's first name, that would be great, but I look forward to any comments you might have for purposes of today's review.
Yeah, Your Honor. So I basically just want to give kind of an idea of what a typical day in my life looks like with the child. And this goes for whoever she may be placed with, mom, dad, grandparents, whoever. Whoever she gets placed with, I hope they're prepared that they need a full-time person with them, because my support person, who happens to be Mr. Cundiff's aunt, is a godsend to me because she doesn't work. So she's here full-time and moved in with me to assist me so that I could keep my job. If I didn't have her, I would not be able to work with her medical conditions. So whoever she gets placed with, I hope they understand that somebody needs to be with her full time. They need to know what symptoms to look for. This was not something that was easily detected. Jen detected, oops, I'm sorry, I wasn't supposed to say her name. My support person is the one who detected it. I was at work. She called me. I left work. We took her to the hospital. And luckily, it got caught very quickly, because the damage that it could cause her in long term, it's unspeakable. And the medication has worked wonders. She was at a point when the spasms first started where she was not even being responsive. And she now is laughing and giggling and the happy baby that she was when I first got her. The first time she smiled and laughed, we cried because we were so happy to see that. I just want somebody to understand that I wake up on a Monday morning at 6:30 in the morning. My caregiver and I both. We have appointments, and now we got slapped with OT and PT, so that's another thing that has to be fit into the schedule. We get up, we have early on coming. We have early education coming. Then we have to take her to visitations. And then I have to come home and get ready for work. And then my support person's with her. Then I get off work and we have to do it all over again. And when she doesn't want to go to sleep, we don't get to go to sleep. So it's really important for somebody to understand whether the Garens take her or whether someone else takes her, that they may need to come to the realization that somebody may not be able to work. Somebody may need to be with her full time. Her condition is not going to go away. The medication they put her on, yes, it helped her, but the neurologist made it very clear that this is not going to take it away. It's going to help it, but that doesn't mean it's going to stop it. And every time she has one of these spasms, it causes more developmental damage. She's 7 months old. She's just now trying to sit up on her own. She's just now trying to hold her own bottle. So yes, there has been some delays in her development, but she's getting there. Her cheeks are huge right now. She has Cushing's, and it's from the medication. The doctor informed me that that might happen. So she put on a lot of weight gain from that. So I'll give you a little bit of idea of what infantile spasms are. They are a form of epilepsy. Chris is right about that. It is a form of epilepsy. It's a rare form of epilepsy. One in so many thousand of children get this. She'll have an episode that may last 9 or 10 minutes. And during that 9 or 10 minutes, she'll have about 26 spasms. She will stiffen. Her arms will go up. Her body will stiffen. Her mouth will twitch. Her eyes will twitch. And if you're not watching her to see this, you don't know what's happening. And it happens. And at first she just gets shocked by it and then she'll cry. Luckily, since the medication, she has not had any. But there is a chance that children with this can go on to have other types of seizures later in life. So it is important, whoever she gets placed with is prepared for that long-term health issues that are going to come with that. And they're prepared to take trips to Toledo because there is no children's hospital in Adrian or nearby. So it's either Mott's or Toledo. Those are your picks. So whoever takes her has to be prepared to be driving, because trust and believe, I drive to Toledo more than I can even count on one hand, not to mention I work in Toledo. Luckily, I work at the hospital that she's at. So luckily, when she was in the hospital, I was still able to work because I was right downstairs from her and I could go on my breaks. My boss was understanding about that. But it is a lot. It is a lot of back and forth driving. I drive. I feel like I live in my car anymore. I'm constantly going to appointments. She has to go get an EEG at 8 o'clock in the morning. I live in Adrian. That means I got to get up at 5:30 to get myself ready, get her bag packed. Me and my support person got to load her up in the car, take her for an EEG. Then directly after, she has an appointment with the neurologist. Then I got to come home and get ready for work and go to work. It's a lot. And somebody needs to be prepared for that. They need to have reliable transportation to take her back and forth to all of this stuff. It is a lot for somebody to handle. And I'm not saying that somebody can't do it, but I'm just trying to give them an idea of what it's like and to be prepared for that. And that's the only thing I can say. My daughter-in-law happens to be Mr. Cundiff's sister. So, I mean, I try to inform the family as much as possible. As Miss Moore said, my caregiver is Mr. Cundiff's aunt. So, we try to keep everybody informed as possible. I would never withhold anything. I have no problem. if Mr. Cundiff wants to come to appointments with us, I have no problem with that at all. If it's allowed, because from my understanding, there were no unsupervised visits without their permission. So I mean, I would have no problem with that. And that's really all I had to say.
I really appreciate you sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
Do any of our attorneys have any questions for Ms. Shirley?
I do. I have one. Ms. Teague, I just want to make sure we're understanding correctly. Was your intention simply to inform the record of the reality of your situation and how caregiving is? Or should we be taking away that maybe you are reconsidering placement right now?
Oh, absolutely never. I've grown
Okay.
very attached to the child. I almost said her name. Sorry. I've grown attached to her, and I would never turn my back on her, especially now,
Okay.
like with all the health problems she has. She's most familiar with myself and my caregiver, and we're the two most familiar faces to her. I would never turn my back on her. No, I'm just trying to inform everyone of what the long term of this is. And
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
you know,
Okay.
like they need to have everything together before they consider placing her. I'm not saying she
Okay.
shouldn't be placed with anybody and that she might not be in a better place with somebody. What I'm saying is I just want them to be prepared for what's going to come along with that. And they need to have all of these things in order because it is a lot.
Okay. Thank you for that information and the continued support for this family. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Brooks, any questions?
Ma'am, are you willing to take on that responsibility?
The responsibility of
Taking care of this child on a long-term basis?
I've been doing it for months. When she was in the hospital, my support person and I both slept in that hospital every single night with her. I never left her side, my caregiver nor myself. We stayed the night with her. I got ready in her room for work, went down to work, got off work, went back to her room and stayed the night with her. My support person nor myself would never turn our back on her ever. And I mean,
I'm going to take
I'm
that
not
answer
saying
as
that
yes.
well, what I'm saying is I've never been approached with any anything about adoption or anything like that. I'm not saying I'm the best person ever to have her. I'm just saying that whoever she does end up with, I just want them to be prepared for what a day is with her.
Well, until right now, I guess I didn't know it either. But thank you for your answer and your help.
You're welcome.
Mr. Howard?
Is there anything that the agency or department can provide to assist with the child or yourselves in transportation or hotels or anything like that?
No, Miss Moore has offered extended offers. Like last night I did get a hotel room because her MRI was at 7 o'clock this morning and I didn't want to have to, and she couldn't eat after a certain time. So the thought of driving from Adrian to Toledo with a screaming baby that's starving wasn't something I really wanted to be on the highway doing. And so I did get a room last night and stayed there, and we got up at about 5 o'clock this morning, so I'm extremely exhausted. Because her last feeding was allowed to be at 5 for clear liquids, and she just wasn't happy with the Pedialyte. And so, but that's all she could have. So I wanted to at least get her that last bit before she went in. And then once we got there, we got delayed a little bit because of the guardianship issue and the legalities of the MRI. And then once we got it done, everything went smoothly. She came out fine. She's been sleeping a lot. They said that would happen because she had to be sedated for that MRI because they couldn't have her moving around. But everything went smoothly. She came out good. She's been sleeping. She's with my support person right now so that I could attend the hearing. But she's doing great. She's laughing and smiling and she's doing good.
Nothing further.
Thank you so much for your testimony.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, counselors. Anyone else you'd like us to hear from or any closing comments?
No, no more witnesses.
No one further, Your Honor.
I have nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, last opportunity for any comments?
Well, can I make a brief one?
Sure.
I didn't know how lucky we were to have that lady right there taking care of this little girl. I knew the child had problems. I didn't know the extent of the care required until about 5 minutes ago. Thank you again.
Yeah, you're welcome. But my support person, she's owed a lot of credit too. She's with her while I'm at work, so she spends a lot of time with her. So like I said, she's a godsend to me. I couldn't have done this without her.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, well, the court finds all interested parties were given notice for purposes of today's permanency planning hearing, as well as review. Mr. Cundiff's current circumstances have been well outlined by the court report, the testimony of Ms. Moore, and confirmation through his own testimony that he's unable to take placement due to his incarceration, current criminal charges, prohibition against returning to the home that he was living in, and all of the other circumstances that continue to be persistent and that were identified at the adjudication, frankly. Again, this child has been removed since June 12th, 2025. I know that the request for placement with his family has been investigated, but we'll ask Ms. Moore to just refresh the record for us next time on that request. But I believe we already have an investigation into that placement request with his mom and his family. Her current placement is certainly the safest and least restrictive, and that is, can't even describe the level of care that she's being provided at right now, which we heard extensively about. There's really nothing that allows the court and all of us to really understand what it's like, with the exception of opportunities to hear from people like Shirley. So I echo Mr. Brooks's comments. We're very grateful to you and to your support partner. So please pass along our thanks as well for all of the support that you provide for this child. The child will certainly remain in that placement pending our next review hearing. I am going to change the goal to a dual goal of adoption and reunification. We would need to see significant progress in all areas from Mr. Cundiff in a short period of time, frankly, in order to truly entertain more efforts that the court can justify towards allowing him to work towards reunification. This child has increasingly heightened needs around parenting, as well as health, developmental challenges, and all of the things that Ms. Shirley articulated so well for us on the record, and also we're continuing the court report and the testimony of Ms. Moore. She's been under the care of this parent as well since June 12th, 2025. And at best, we can look for an update as far as what's happening with his criminal charges at the next report period. But certainly not a lot of progress in other areas has been made up to this point, unfortunately. So with that in mind, and the young age of the child and her heightened needs, I am changing the goal to reunification and adoption to see where both of these parents will be in another 3 months. And at that point, we'll be looking at removal for a period of 9 months. And that is a significant period of time for a child that young and with this many challenges. So we'll come back together on April 6th at 10 a.m. for a view of Mr. Cundiff's progress or status. We'll also look at the goal at that time to determine whether or not the dual goal of reunification remains appropriate, or if simply adoption should be the best goal for this child moving forward. Unless there's any questions, the record is, I think, very complete, and the court report or the court order will certainly contain the rest of the findings necessary to support the court's decision today. Unless there's any questions, that's it for today. We'll see you April 6th at 10 a.m. for Mr. Cundiff's case and at 9 a.m. for Ms. Ellie Guerin's case.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.